Is super excited to have you all here for day number 2. I have to giggle because today is actually my favorite day. Yesterday is always very exciting as we really start to really go into the energetics of wealth creation and really dive deeply into your money blueprint and how to actually activate that and what exactly that is. But today is, I believe, in my personal opinion and experience, one of the most important days. And today is not an easy day. Today is a difficult day. And today may be the day where you might feel like, oh my God, I literally just want to pack my bags and run for the hills right now. But today is going to be very, very powerful because today is module number 2 and it's why you are not receiving. And so today is the day where we pull over that pretty blanket that we have covering all of our limits and all of our stories, and how we've made it okay that we are in fact actually maybe potentially living off the smell of an oily rag, but we tell ourselves that we always get by and that we always have money. And so today is a day where we're going to pull back that pretty blanket where we've been hiding all of that stuff and pretending that it's okay. And we're going to really take a look at that monster that's under that blanket, because that's the only way that you're actually going to be able to get results here, is actually when you stop kidding yourselves. And when you actually come out of denial and really have a look at where you really are at in terms of your relationship with money. We've really got to get very real with ourselves where we're at while working on healing our relationship with money. And today we're going to go much more into the keys and the steps around how we can actually heal our relationship with money, because that's what we want to work towards. We want to work towards the healing of our relationship with money. But we've got to acknowledge and actually get real about where we're actually at. Because for most of us, we've just ignored it because money is taboo, right? And money has had such a bad rap in our conditioning, in our programming, in our subconscious. And so for many of us, it's just felt so horrendous and negative that we just decided that we were just not going to look at it, because when we did look at it, it felt really bad. Who resonates with this? Who has made a decision subconsciously a long time ago that you're not really going to pay too much attention to money, because when you do, it just feels really bad. So it's just easier to ignore it. In the chat, who has me? Dina, of course. It was my absolute go-to. It was like, we're not going to look at it because it makes me feel like hell. And I don't want to feel like hell. And I've always got enough, even though I was living on welfare and I was living in an absolute dump. You know, I wasn't being real with where I was at. I was like, oh, I've always got enough. Money's just not an issue. Are you kidding me? I was living off the smell of an oily rag. I wasn't opening my bills at one stage. That's how bad things got. I didn't even know how much money I got paid as a nurse. I didn't even know how much my hourly rate was, because I just couldn't handle knowing or focusing at all on money. Yeah, Sarah Johnston, she hears me. Linda, I used to be like that. I told myself that it was a good thing. Yeah, exactly. So it's not our fault, and we don't want to judge ourselves for it, but we just want to get the consciousness around it so that we know, oh my goodness, this is how I've been dealing with money. Well, I just haven't been dealing with money, and my strategy has just been to ignore money entirely and just hope that it'll get better, and, it'll maybe just go away, and somehow I'll just become abundantly wealthy, and then I can look at it and then I will feel better about it. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. We actually have to start consciously focusing on money and working towards feeling better about money, because we know through the law of attraction, if we feel really good about money, we're going to attract more prosperity, wealth, and abundance. And if we feel bad about money, if we're in a terrible state in terms of our relationship with money, money is always going to elude us because we feel negative. So we want to do a big cleanup today, but also today I'm going to give you the tools and I'm going to show you all what the key things are in order to heal your relationship with money. Dina, I used to dodge bill collectors, past that yet still just enough. Yeah, exactly. We've all got stories and ways that we've dealt with money and not dealt with money. But one of the keys is, hello, and just welcome for everyone that's joining us live in the Facebook group. I've just had a look to see that we are actually going live, got straight in here. So I'm relieved that we are actually going live in our page. One of the keys here that we have to look at money like we are in a relationship with it, because we are. We're in a relationship with money, okay? Just like we're in a relationship with our children, with our husbands, with our parents, with our siblings. It's a relationship, okay? And so we know that if we feel very negative, let's say towards our husbands or our partners, or our children, if we feel really negative, then what's that relationship going to look like? It's going to be really crap, right? It's going to be a horrible relationship if most of the time we have a large amount of negative emotions around that relationship. Now, if we ignore that relationship with our husband or our partner, that relationship then is just going to be basically non-existent. So you can really look at the money piece. And if you're really ignoring your money, and if you're ignoring your partner, the relationship is going to be non-existent. The money's non-existent, right? Because you're ignoring it. You're not giving it your time, your energy, your focus, and your value. So for many of us, we don't value money because we were taught growing up through our conditioning that money is the root of all evil, right? So subconsciously, somewhere along the way, we made a decision that we just weren't going to value money because it meant X, Y, and Z. It meant that we were a bad person if we wanted to aspire to having wealth. Maybe it meant that we were greedy. And so we just didn't value money anymore, because if we were to value money, it may mean one of those horrible things. And so one of the key parts of wealth, prosperity, and manifesting money is you have to value money. You've got to really value it. You've got to be looking at it. And you've got to get to some point where you feel really good about it, but there's also neutrality with it, so that you're grounded in your receiving. So that when $20,000 lands into your bank account, it's amazing and you're happy about it, but you're not like ridiculously crazy excited because you're not grounded in your receiving when you go like that. Now, of course, for those of you that have never received 20K through the means of your own creation for women in business, you will be excited in your first $20,000 payment in full and upfront. Of course, that will be exciting, but you've got to be grounded in the receiving of it. So we've got to get those root chakras really grounded. And that is going to be a part of us grounding ourselves in terms of the energetic work that we do, making sure that we're looking after ourselves as well. This is going to be a key piece. For me, I was flying around up there in the ethereals for a really long time, for many, many years on my spiritual ascension evolution journey. And I loved it because I was so high and connected to spirit, but I couldn't maintain that. I wasn't actually grounded into the earth, and therefore I couldn't receive because I didn't have that groundedness. I had the spiritual connection, I always did, but it was very flighty. And when I was up there, I was very high. And then I also really found it hard to then connect in with my family. And then I would just come crashing down. Who has been in this paradigm at different times along their spiritual journey? Lisa has. Yeah. Oh, that sounds like me, says Becky Taylor. Yes, yes, yes. I spent many, many years in that. Yes. Dina knows exactly what I'm talking about. Sarah Johnson. Yes, you ladies know this, right? And it feels good to be up there in the ethereals because you're very spiritually connected. You feel invincible, but unfortunately, you're not grounded into the earth. You're not grounded in your root chakras. And that really is going to be an absolute requirement for receiving prosperity, wealth, and abundance. If you're flying around there high in the ethereals, you will not be able to receive because you have to be grounded. You've got to be anchored into the earth. Now, ways to do that is to really look after your physical body. We have a physical body, obviously, and we also have an energetic body. And so we really want to be looking after our physical body so that our energetic body is also a reflection of where we are physically. So what I mean by that is natural health supplements, the best quality possible, ones that work on a cellular level. We take LifeVantage. I was very skeptical when they were recommended to me by one of my clients because we had already been taking Metagetics through my chiropractor for the last decade. And I was already very, very healthy. And I really thought, how much difference could possibly these natural health supplements make? Well, they did. They made a freaking huge difference. And there is no way on earth that I would have been able to build my business to multiple six figures over the last 2 years and work with hundreds of women. And in the beginning, run 7 sessions during the day and then 4 every single night, 5 days a week. There is just no way that I would have been able to do that without the next level health products that are really helping support me at a mind, body, and soul level. And also I see a chiropractor every second week. That's another way of really grounding myself. I've been getting chiropractic care religiously every 3 weeks for the last decade, and I've just changed it to 2 weekly. I actually had an alignment on Friday afternoon and I slept the best that I had slept in months. And I think I slept like the longest that I'd slept in months. But we've got to do, what aligns with us. So you let your intuition guide you towards what would be right for you right now. What does your body need the most right now? I've got to get myself to float tanks. That's really my intuition has been telling me that the float tank is my next step. It's going to be my next support tool. Also, massage right now is very, very important to me. So it'll change, at different times, but just let your intuition guide you to what is the most important natural health alternative for you to really invest your time and your money into right now. The water that we drink is absolutely key. We really want to aim towards drinking water that is fluoride and chloride free. We all know, I'm sure, that the fluoride puts a calcification around our pineal gland, and that is our third eye, which literally is the linkage into the spiritual realms. We've been drinking distilled water. We make our own water here. We make 5 liters in about 5 hours. We have our water distiller down in the laundry, which is downstairs, and me and my husband just like tag team. We forever feel like we're on water duties. But we've been drinking distilled water for probably around 5 years now. And again, I was guided by spirit to drinking distilled water, and that's a raw water and it's absolutely free of all chemicals. But just go where you're guided. So, alrighty, let's get into this. For those that are joining live on Facebook, please feel very welcome to say hello in the chat box. We're going to kick off and I'm going to ask you all a question. And I really would love for you all to really honestly answer this and really be vulnerable here and really feel into where you're really, really at. So I'd love to know, I'm really curious to know, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least and 10 being the most, how do you really feel about money? Excuse me, where are you at on that scale? From 1, I feel shit house about money, to 10, I feel absolutely incredible about money. Where are you on that scale most of the time? Lisa, 3, thanks so much for your vulnerability. It's good to really get to know where we're really at with that. Linda, 8. Linda's done some work on her relationship with money. Congratulations, Linda. Michelle Bateman, 7 to 8. Amazing. Becky Taylor, 3. Thanks for your vulnerability, Becky. Dina, 5. Linda, huge improvements. Amazing. So good to see. Hello, Kate Evans. Oh my gosh, I'm at a 10. Thanks to you, Jess. Amazing, Kate. You look phenomenal, darling Jess. Oh, thank you so much, my love. Super excited to have you here. Sarah Jane, 5. Beautiful, beautiful. Dina, I kind of feel neutral most of the time. Amazing. That is so good to hear. Beautiful, beautiful. Just checking the comments. Aileen is in the house. Hello, gorgeous. I absolutely love money. About a 7 because the 10 is coming. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Love this, love this. So we've got lots of people at different places in terms of their relationship with money. But we really do want to get real with it. If we don't have any money, right, it's because we've got blocks around it. It's because we are literally blocking it from coming through. And so the only way to get the results is to really get real with ourselves. If we didn't have blocks, right, you would all be multimillionaires and there would be no one attending this event. So the only thing that's stopping you all from receiving, and all of us from receiving, is the limiting beliefs, is the blocks that we've got, is the conditioning, is the programming, but it's also our nervous systems. What we talked about yesterday, it's very much in our nervous systems. We've all been conditioned a certain way, and it's very scary for us, and it doesn't feel safe to receive. So I want to share a very quick story with you all about something that happened to me 2 years ago when I signed up to work with my first team of coaches. I think I shared with you all yesterday, I'd made $50,000 in my coaching business the year prior. And I really had a very serious conversation with myself. I really had a real hard talking to myself. And I was like, all right, well, that's really good. $50,000 is the best year that you've had in your coaching business in the last decade. But honestly, you really don't know what you're doing in terms of how to sign on clients in the back end of the business. And so if you just keep doing the same thing, incrementally, you will increase your results, because I have a belief that is I'm always increasing and up leveling and scaling on autopilot at all times. It's just done. So I knew that the next year it would probably be $60,000 or $70,000 in sales. But again, it still wasn't nearly enough, and it was too much of a slow process. So it was like, get the help, or just really move along, and it's going to be very slow and you're going to be fumbling around in the dark, or let's get the help. Let's find out exactly what it is that we need to do, and let's go all in. And it was scary as all hell, but I went all in, and I trusted, and I invested, and I did $100,000 in sales in less than 3 months. Now, I had more success than I'd ever had in my life during that time. I had more clients than I'd ever had, obviously, in my life during that time. I actually had a whole lot of new problems. My new problems were I've got more clients than I actually have time to facilitate sessions for. Next level new devil. I had a whole lot of new problems, but it was a great problem to have, right? I was celebrating the heck out of it. But I was so stressed out because I didn't feel safe in my nervous system to receive the success and the abundance and the wealth that was coming to me at warp speed. And I remember looking at my bank account that month and seeing that I had more money in my bank account than what I'd ever had. And I felt more stressed out than what I'd ever felt in my life, because it didn't feel safe. It was like sirens were flying. It was like something is actually going majorly wrong here, because I'd had, more success than what I'd ever had. And it was in my nervous system. It wasn't normal. My programming in my nervous system is failure, right? It's scarcity. It's lack. It's living off the smell of an oily rag. And my nervous system, knows that really well. And it's done that program for the last 40 flipping years. And so it's going to take some time to rewire and recode that program. And I remember looking in my bank account, and I remember that week we had some plumbers come over and they did some work on our house. And, and I remember that I had my neck out severely that week. I spent, a night in our shed crying on our concrete floor. I spent that night adding up all of the things that we could sell if supply got turned off. Now, this is when I'd done $100,000 in less than 3 months. All the fears came through, all the doubts. I felt like, I wasn't worthy. I felt like that, I was just a one-hit wonder, and I just was having this amazing success right now. And then it was never going to be that way again, and supply was going to get turned off. So I literally had more money in my bank account than what I'd ever had before. I had more success than what I'd ever had before. I had more clients than what I had time to facilitate sessions for. But here I was in my shed counting up my possessions in case I needed to sell those possessions, and these are all the things that I needed to work through. And I remember that when the plumber came, and then a week later, my husband sang out and he said, "Oh, babe, that invoice has come through to pay the plumber." And I'm like, "Okay, that's nice. How much is it?" And I looked at our bank account and I was like, "Oh, this looks really good. Like, wow, I've never seen this much money before." And my husband called out, "Oh, it's a $5,000 invoice for the plumber." And I'm like, "For the plumber? Like, what did they use? Like gold plate, like, plumb things in the ground?" And then I remember all of this fear coming up again. And I grabbed it and I was like, "Oh, okay, hello. This is my dad's programming." And my dad's programming, and I'm going to be sharing this with you all because, we've all taken on board our mom's programming, their relationship with money, and our fathers, our parents' relationships with money. We've all taken on a part of their programming. So as I'm sharing this story, I'd love for you to start to think about what is it from your mom that you've taken on in her relationship with money, and from your dad, what part have you taken on? And so as I was like feeling like vomiting over the $5,000 that we had to pay the plumber, and there was all of this other stuff that was going on for me, I caught it and I was like, this is my dad's program. And my dad, he was a really, really hard worker. Like, he worked really, really hard. And for most of us, that belief, you have to work really hard for money. And dad would work so hard. He'd do 7 days a week. He worked in a factory, and he'd do like 7 days a week during the season. And I remember that he would work so hard sometimes that he would literally come home from work and he would actually vomit into his lunchbox upon arriving home, because he would have such a ginormous migraine and he would literally have to just go to bed. And that happened multiple times. And it, because of the work that he was placing on himself, because how hard he was working. And my dad's relationship with money was, yes, you've got to work really hard to the money, to the point where you make yourself sick. You actually literally sacrifice yourself for money, where you work yourself so hard that you actually are physically ill over how hard you're working. And also his relationship with money was, I've got to hold on to the money. And when money comes, I must hold on to it, because supply may be cut off and there may never, ever, ever be any more coming. So I must really batten down those hatches, and we just got to hold on to that. And he even used to hoard money, in his wardrobe. And then when he built his, $1 million mansion, he actually got a concrete safe put in his wardrobe, which, I was like, yeah, that's your money story. That's your relationship with money. And so I took that on board. So anytime I did receive money, I was on welfare for many, many years. I was in autoimmune disease for over a decade. And so I was a nurse of 22 years, but there were times when I was hospitalized, and there were times where I would really go into crisis with my health, and I would not be able to work as a nurse. And so my amazing unit manager, she never fired me. I don't know why she never fired me. I would have fired me, but every time I'd turn up into her office, she'd always put me on leave, with sick leave without pay. And I just couldn't believe it. Every time I went into her office, I thought, oh, surely she's just going to fire me, because I'd have to be on leave with no pay regularly and over so many years, so many times, because I was so incredibly unwell. My health was deteriorating. So I was on welfare for months at a time. And I remember that when I received my welfare, which was obviously very minimal, that I just wanted to hold on to it. Even back then it was like, okay, I've got paid now, we need to hold on to it. We really just only can spend a little skerrick of it, because this might be the last piece of money that is ever coming to me. And so, oh no, but I have to go and buy food. And so then I'd go and buy food, and then that would feel really bad. I literally remember standing at the checkout and actually having a horrible feeling in my physical body for spending money on food. And I remember being very consciously aware of it. I remember standing there at the checkout thinking, I feel like hell overspending money on food to feed myself. This is goddamn ridiculous. Jessica Quigley, it was Jessica Bellamy back then, you've got a lot of work to do. This really needs cleaning up, because this is very, very unhealthy. But this is how I felt all those years ago. And so I'd receive the money off the welfare, or maybe I was, working as a nurse. And when I was working, it was like 4 or 5 shifts a fortnight, because I'd only be able to work one day, and then I'd need 2 or 3 days to recover after one shift. I'd have to spend like 2 days in bed just recovering, so that I could spend another day back at work. And so, all during that time, in the minimal amount that I was receiving, it was very much like, we've just got to hold on to it, but we never can, right? Because money's always in flow. We receive money, and then, it goes in and it goes out. And so I'd love for you all just to put in the chat a little bit, and some of you already have started to do that, which is amazing. What are the big programs that are coming up for you in regards to what are you really getting consciousness awareness around? What are the programs that you have taken from your mother and your father? Kate Evans, my dad's program is that money always comes, and then it will all be taken care of, but no savings rules. And my mum was just like fear, and thank goodness for my dad. Also, my mama wanted to save but couldn't, because my dad would spend it all. Oh my goodness. Yes, I'm working on programming. I always have 30%, in the bank, and invest and in other business, my business. So that's 90. And I live off 10%. So that would be 5K, which would be 20K months. That feels safe, but I actually want 100K months. So wow, I just realized I get to live off 10K. Amazing, Kate Evans, amazing. The sky is the absolute limit. Kate, the plumber. Yes, I know. Hello, gorgeous one from the UK. Amazing to have you here. So it's really, really important that we just get really conscious around these stories and programs that we've really taken on board from our parents. Spending money on others, Lisa, but not on self. Pay off debts, have a job, and own your home. Only thing you have to do in life. Yeah, such a program, right? Such a program. Kay, we always had enough plus a little bit. We had savings for a trip with mum when she retired and he passed away at 51. I learned not to wait until you retire. Beautiful lessons there, Kay. Sending you lots of love. Oh, Linda, nurse historically here too. Oh my goodness. I attract and manifest lots of nurses into my life experience, of course, you know, we're all such a sisterhood and we all completely get it. Michelle, I was doing so good with money, and this is the first time struggling with lots of things that have happened in my life. Yeah, thanks for sharing, Michelle. Dad, Becky Taylor, Dad always gave away to help another, always putting a brother or a friend first. And I realize I'm doing exactly the same and haven't anything for me. Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful that your dad did do that. But, you know, yeah, there's got to be that balance there, Becky, right? Like, absolutely amazing. I love what's coming through here. And so most of our programming and our conditioning in terms of our relationship with money, I want to say this and I want you to like really hear this. Here it is. It's actually 8 billion years in our reptilian brain. This is what we're up against. This is 8 billion years of programming in our reptilian brain. And that's why this shit is so hard, right? And that's why there's so many people that, you know, are just getting by because there's a lot of the old programming. And also we've all been templated with false codes, what we started to talk about yesterday. We've all been tempered and tampered with, and we've had slave codes put over our original codes of wealth and abundance. Also, the family stuff is really, really big as well in terms of those of us that are wanting to become stewards of wealth creation. It is massive because not only did we learn our conditions from our family, and most of the time, the most part of that is negative conditioning. Otherwise, you wouldn't all be here, right? But also, therefore, our family actually won't support us. And they actually will maybe consider our progress as absolutely unacceptable. And so what we will do subconsciously is we will self-sabotage ourselves because we don't want to lose our family. And so if our family starts seeing our success as unacceptable, our fear of not being loved will be unconsciously triggered, and we will subconsciously self-sabotage ourselves into being successful and receiving wealth, prosperity, and abundance. So there's a lot of work to be done, and there's a lot to it. And it is really sad that a lot of families see us striving and they see that progress is absolutely unacceptable. It's really very sad. And just a quick story about my mum's relationship with money, because many of you will relate to this. My mum's relationship with money was money is the root of all evil. And if you try to aspire to attain money, you are scum of the earth and you are shallow. And you are just all about yourself, you're selfish, you're self-centered, you're fraudulent, you're probably dealing drugs, you're a liar, and you are just a really horrible person. That was my mum's programming. And my nana, she lived off the smell of an oily rag, and she was such a wonderful woman, my nana. I absolutely loved and adored and cherished my nana. You know, those people that you just love, like that you just have in your life and you just really love them unconditionally. Who's in your life that you just love? Put it in the chat. Maybe they've passed over. Maybe they're still living, but who are those people that you just love them? Like, doesn't matter what they've done or who they are, you just freaking love them like unconditionally. My sister, I just love my sister. We're not very close, but I just love her. I'd just do anything for her. You know, if anything was to happen, I'd just be there in an absolute heartbeat. My nan and my pop says, Kay, yeah. Dina, my grandmothers, oh my God, these precious people. So beautiful to bring that energy into the room. Who else have we got? Linda, Northcote, definitely my grandmother, my son, and my animals. Yeah. My two nanas passed over now. Lisa, sending so much love. Yeah, my daughter and grandkids, of course. Becky, my grandmother. Michelle, my family doesn't understand the personal growth, so I don't fit in. I totally can relate to that, Michelle. Abso-friggin-lutely. Yeah. So those special people, we've all got a couple. And so my nana, she was one of my most special people, and she lived off the smell of an oily rag. And she wore that like a badge of honor too. She said, I live off the smell of an oily rag. And because in this was my mum's mum, in my mum's side of the family, if you lived off the smell of an oily rag, that meant that you're a really good person because you didn't value money. So, I always wanted to be a really good person, above everything. I wanted to be, a person of values and a person of integrity. I aspired to being a really good person. And so, I looked up to my nana, and, she was a really great person. And a part of being a great person was being as broke as, all hell, and really living off the smell of an oily rag. And so, it was a big thing to work through because, we talked about ignoring money and not valuing money. And that's exactly what I did, because I never wanted to be any of those things. I valued being a good person. And so I just decided a long time ago that money wasn't going to be for me ever, because it meant all of those horrible things. And I never wanted to be one of those horrible things. And I didn't want to lose my family either. And I was very aware that if I did aspire to becoming even successful in terms of, my career, I potentially could risk losing my family. And, that was just a risk that I wasn't willing to take back then. So, I really just shut off the whole money thing. I didn't value money, like I shared with you all. I didn't look at my bills. I didn't talk about money. I didn't even know how much I got paid. I, would look into my bank account on the very rare occasion, and I'd have one eye open, one eye closed. It would be like, oh, just a quick look, because I have to look, because I just have to know if I've got enough money to draw out. But it was so hard for me to look. So I knew that I had a lot of work to do. And Michelle, I totally understand the personal growth doesn't fit in with the family thing, and I send you so much love. And unfortunately, I don't speak at all to my mother and father. I haven't spoken to my father since 2018 was the last time I spoke to my father. And I haven't spoke to my mother since 2019 because of all of this, and because they viewed my progress as so unacceptable. So that, is a particularly difficult journey to navigate. But we want to be aware of it, because we don't want to allow ourselves to self-sabotage subconsciously. We just want to really, that's why we're having this conversation about it today. We want to really, be very aware of it so that we can catch ourselves and we can go, oh my God, this is Dad's programming. It's just got activated within me right now. And wow, I'm really consciously aware that I'm feeling like this right now in terms of money. We really want to bring our consciousness, to that which we haven't allowed ourselves to look at, because maybe we've just been like, oh, we just won't look at it, but we feel pretty good about it, but we don't have any of it. We don't have any money, but we've always got what we need though, right? So we'll just, we'll sort of gloss over it and just sort of, hope and pray that it'll get better without paying any attention to it. And so this is kind of, that's exactly what I did, but that obviously just wasn't working. My mum is gold. Oh, Natasha Harrison, so good to have you joining us live in Facebook. Monique, both my nans who have passed, sending you so much love, Monique. All righty. So why are we not receiving? Why are you not receiving? Well, we've talked about some of these things. Number one, because of our conditioning, because of what we've taken on board from society, from the slave codes, And also from our values. If we're not valuing money, then money is not valuing us, right? If on the scale of 1 to 10, we're in a really low place in terms of how we feel about money most of the time, then money is going to continue to elude us. Not only is it going to continue to elude us, but we're always going to be living in money, mayhem, and mess. There was a period of time in my life where we just couldn't get ahead. And most people live the majority of their lives like this, where you just get ahead, but then the washing machine would break down, or there'd be this ridiculous bill that would just come out of like nowhere. It would be like an astronomical electricity bill, or just something major would happen. And then it would be like, oh my God, we just got ahead and now we've got to play catch up again. And this just kept happening. We lived through that for years. Hands up, who knows what I'm talking about there, where they're just living in this, you're just living in this like money, chaos, and mess. And every time you feel like you get ahead, the universe sends you something, and then it's like you're playing catch up again. It's like you're behind again. You feel like you can never get forward. And all of these things just keep stacking on top of each other. Monique has raised her hand. Yeah. I'm just having my magnesium, which I have every single morning. It's a Metagetics magnesium from the chiropractor. And I also have a big magnesium overnight time. We got taught, just to go off topic, but it's not off topic because nothing is off topic. Medical Medium shared with us many years ago that the products that we purchased from the chemist warehouse, he basically said you may as well flush those products down the toilet. He basically said those products are a waste of money because they're not high enough quality to actually make an impact. So there's a little bit of solid information there. If you're going to buy natural health products, really invest in really good quality products because, they definitely do make a difference. And, we definitely want you to be feeling as best as you possibly can, because we know when we're feeling good, when we're in high vibration, it's then easier to feel more positive in regards to our relationship with money. So just back to where we were, Lisa, I lived week to week from my pay, no savings. Yep, exactly. Absolutely. You get that. And that is exactly where we were at. We were at about, sometimes if we were lucky, we had about $2,000 in savings sometimes, but most of the times we just live week to week. Over the last 2 years, I've always had $100,000 in savings. That's just over the last 2 years, $100K just in savings, and have invested over $200,000 into coaches, healers, multiple seven-figure business mentors. And that's just been over the last 2 years. This is how much we can really speed up our growth, our wealth, our prosperity, our impact, and our businesses. Alrighty, so if we don't have money, who in the chat doesn't have money high on their values? Or if you do, on a scale of 1 to 5, where would money be in our values? Just in the chats here in the Zoom room, we've got 9 queens joining us live in the Zoom room. So amazing to have you all here. On it 1. Okay. Thanks for sharing. Sarah Johnson, 3. Self-care, 1. Dina. Michelle Bateman, not very high as my values come first. Yeah. Family, 2. Beautiful. So we don't necessarily want to put money as number 1, right? Because for most of us, it really isn't money. Like, let's really get real here, but it is, right? So it's kind of like you're in this weird thing. I remember I just had a memory of, I had a $20,000 sale when I first started to receive my $20,000 sales, when it took 8 months of that journey, which I shared with you all yesterday in module 1. I remember that they started to, you know, when the door opened and when my nervous system felt safe in receiving the $20,000 sales, they started flying in, you know, quicker than I could keep up with them. And I remember that I walked out the front to my husband who was gardening one afternoon, and I'd figured out some really techie thing. You know, there was some techie thing that was, oh my God, it had me like all stressed out. I'd been in tears over it the day before. And finally I'd figured it out. And I went skipping out the front. I felt like, you know, I felt like a really clever person. And I was like screaming from the rooftops. I was like, I figured it out. I've done it. I actually did it all by myself. I've actually created this thing. And my husband was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And I was like jumping up and down, like I was so excited because I really struggle with tech. And then I'm like, oh, I just had a $20,000 sale as well. And my husband's like, oh, you're much more excited about the techie thing that you did. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, isn't that interesting? So, you know, I'm excited when women sign up to work with me. That's what I'm excited about. I'm excited that women have said yes, and you know, they are going to absolutely change their life. And if they sign up for one of my business programs, they are actually going to receive and change lives themselves through whatever vehicle, whatever the business that they're using. That's what really, really excites me. So it's not money, but it is money, and we definitely have to do the money work. So we don't necessarily want to or need to put money on the top of our values, right? Because that is just not going to be in alignment with us, because it's just not the be all and end all at all. So, but we have to be valuing money, okay? And we have to have a relationship with money, and it's got to be a good relationship with money while we're doing the cleanup work. So it can be like two systems going on at once. All right, over here, we're like, oh my God, like I'm noticing how crap I'm actually feeling about money, and I'm acknowledging that, and shit, mum's programs just dropped in, and I'm really, really aware of where I'm actually really at in terms of my relationship with money. And then over here on this side, we're actually doing the healing work around it. We're going, oh, okay, it's pretty crap over here. Right. Well, what do we need to do? Okay, let's get going. Let's activate the tools that I've learned. Let's start working through this. And I'm going to be teaching you those tools very, very shortly. I cannot believe how quickly the last hour has gone. Holy heck, we have got so much to get through. So, alrighty, where were we? Okay. Just lost where I was at. All right, so you have to value money. All right, okay. But we don't need to make it at number one, because that's going to feel out of alignment with us, but it's got to be up there. So if it's not up there, and it feels out of alignment to put it high up there, how like, what do we do? Like how do we actually get it up there? Because it has to be up there. So what we can do is the values that we've already got up there, and for most of you all, it's family, right? It's health, right? It's self-care. It's whatever it is. There's no right or wrong with this. It's maybe travel, whatever it is. What we want to do is you want to actually take money and link it into what's already up there. You got to put money with the other things that are already up there. All right. You can actually sew them in together. So for example, all right, if one of your top 3 values is travel, all right, let's sew money in there as well, because shit, money's going to be actually a key ingredient for travel. If I don't got money, I can't travel. So boom, goes up there. Maybe it's health, you know, alrighty. Well, health may be number 2. So, okay. So let's link in money up there into those high values with health. Let's sew it in together, because without money, we don't have the money to invest in ourselves. I mean, literally, we spend thousands of dollars every month just on chiropractors, massage therapists, natural health supplements, all the supplements we buy from the chiropractor, right? That was always high in my values, right? Because I was in autoimmune disease. I was in alcoholism. You know, I spent the last 15 years healing my body so that I'm in a better energy, right? Because that was absolutely key, right? And so I was able to put money up there because I was like, right, this is just non-negotiable. I have to have money to spend on next level health products, because I'm going to take myself and my energy into a place where no other human's gone before it. I'm going to need all of those products to help me, support me in the journey of that. And so I'm going to need limitless amounts of money to be able to invest in whatever it is that my intuition is saying. Jess, you've got to go and do this. Shit, I just knocked something off my speaker. That's all right. It was just the cover. And so that was always very easy for me to manifest money for my health products because it was high in the values. It was linked in, right? So whatever's really high in your values, just link the money there in with it and make it an absolute non-negotiable. And then for most of you, you've got the business vehicle, you've got the business vehicle, you've got the business vehicle. So you just have now a portal of where that money's going to go, right? Because it's really high on your values, right? So you've got the business vehicle. Okay, so you just set those intentions. Make it a non-negotiable that I'm going to travel because that's high in my values. I'm going to spend the money on the health products. I'm also going to invest in myself. I'm going to hire a coach who's already doing what it is that I need to do so that I can do that thing. And I've got the business vehicle, right? I keep saying the business vehicle because you've got the business vehicle. Do you get what I'm saying when I say that? It's there. The key thing is to trust. All right, so how do we actually achieve all of this? All righty. So one of the biggest things that I was taught many years ago, and some of you are, back here a second time or a third time, and it's so good to have so many of you participating in this masterclass, more than once, because we hear something different every time we join, right? It's just like, UPW, I think it'll be the fourth time when I go and do it live for the first time. And like, I'll, have a completely different experience, from all the other times that I've done it. All right. So one of the things that really changed everything for me and my relationship with money was something that I was taught many, many years ago. And this really helped me with the dad conditioning of the wanting just to hold on and being afraid to actually spend any money, being afraid that there would be never any more coming. And so I'm going to teach this tool to all of you. And this is something that you'll need to use and implement and integrate every single day. And this has helped me tremendously. And what it is bringing the cycle of money back to the cycle of the breath. And so we know that we are breathing in and out all day, every day. And it's a process that just happens automatically. God bless our lungs and our heart, and the nervous system that subconsciously controls all of those processes that are going on in our body. And we never worry about when the next breath is coming, right? Like ever, unless we have got asthma. And then if you've been an asthmatic, which I have, that that's pretty friggin' stressful. Or if you've been choking on something, then you are definitely pretty worried about where the next breath is coming. But normally in our everyday lives, we are not at all, ever, right? If we're breathing well, we're never, ever, ever worried. Oh, where's the next breath coming from? Ever, like ever, right? Unless, there's a, serious situation going down with our airways, okay? And we took our first breath was the entry into this life experience, right? The baby crying, the baby takes that big deep breath in. That was the breath of life, right? And then we have been breathing all the days since, all of them, billions of times of breath. And we know that the breath will always be there, right? Until we take our final breath. There'll be one more breath, which will be then the last breath, and then we'll be exiting out of this life experience. And so we never worry about the breath ever, unless we're in an acute situation. And so we want to bring money back to that of the breath. Because literally, from the moment that we started breathing was the moment that we started receiving. For all of us that live in the Western world, we were born into homes, right? So we were breathing money in and out from our very first breath. Most of us took a breath in a hospital. That's literally a funded facility there. We had clothes, right? we had healthcare, we had food, we had housing, we had transportation. We literally were breathing in and out money from the very moment that we were born. Now, we didn't receive that money, obviously. It was taken care of us by our parents, but we were still breathing in and out money because we still were living in what money provided for us. And so what we want to know and trust is that we will be living and breathing in and out money until we exit this life experience. And so with the inward breath, the money's coming in, right? The money is coming in and our accounts are being filled up. We're getting paid from multiple streams, hopefully. Maybe we've got some property. Maybe we're doing a little bit of a double in crypto. Maybe we've, got a partner who's being paid, and we've got, maybe we were still in traditional work and we're being paid, or we've got, we've got an Airbnb. But when we're breathing in, it's coming in, right? It's payday. Accounts are being replenished. We've got clients that are paying us and we're being paid. And then later on that week, the outward breath, it goes out. We're paying our coaches. We're going to see chiropractors. We're paying our electricity bill. We're putting fuel in our car. We're buying all of our next level, beautiful, healthy, delicious food. And then before we know it, what happens? Replenish time. We're being paid again. Going out again. Okay? The cycle of money is exactly the same cycle of breath. And it comes in and it goes out. And it comes in and it goes out. And we never, ever, ever once worry about where that breath is coming from. So we want to work towards feeling this way with money. We are literally breathing money in and we're breathing money out. And the less worry that we can have in regards to our finances and our wealth and our prosperity and our abundance, the less worry and the less negative energy that we have, the more money that we're going to make. The more that is going to flow into our life experience. Because when we're feeling negative emotion around money, be it conscious or subconscious, because even if you're not focusing on it, it's still there. It's stored. Your issues are in your tissues. Doesn't matter how much you're kidding yourself about how good you think you feel about money, how good you don't feel about money, it's stored in the subconscious. I have got so much work to do in regards to my relationship with money. There's always more work to do. And I'm very aware of that. And I have times where all the money stuff comes up. Yeah, regularly. Every friggin' morning at the moment. Holy heck, I'm investing $15,000 a month with Kate. That slaps me in the face every morning when I wake up, right? It's just my next iteration. It's owning it, and it's a work in progress. So the breathing tool is so powerful. So don't be afraid to spend money and don't be afraid to receive money. It's just like the breath. It's just flowing in and it's flowing out, and it will always be, and it always has been, and it always will be. And we never, ever, ever do we catch ourselves during the day thinking, shit, I wonder if that breath is going to come. It's flowing, right? And then we want to focus on what we talked about yesterday, our money blueprint. I've got a page mark that I wanted to read to you all out of this little baby. Such a great book. It is interesting that people who have evolved in consciousness to where they can truly be called super beings have little concern for demonstrating supply. And the reason is because they recognize that they are boundless wealth, that they are the boundless wealth of the universe in expression. They know that they are related to the one mind, and that this mind is their inextinguishable resource. There's my dyslexia has just kicked in there, and I actually just can't read that word, but I know what it is. You guys know what I mean, right? It's it's a resource that just can't be put out. It's like a fire burning. The result, they attract all good things to them in overflowing measure and continually experience the joy of abundant living. They let their minds speak for them, and each consciousness makes its own particular demand on the universal treasury. How rich can you be? As rich as you think you can be, or as wealthy as your contentment level. Oh, isn't that interesting? As wealthy as your contentment level. However, most people are content in just getting by. And if that is as far as your consciousness can expand, then so be it. You have made that choice. But know that you can achieve the total freedom of financial independence if you choose it, and will work to uplift your consciousness to accommodate the level of completeness. So there's some keys within those words there, that it is all about what we talked about yesterday, that you are the wealth of the universe individualized, and the only limitations that you have are the ones that you've placed upon yourself. We are limitless. Our original soul's codings are codes of wealth, prosperity, and abundance. And money doesn't come because you ask for it. It comes because it's yours. It's in your original force field. It's in your soul's coding. And when we let go of all the programming, and when we practice the breathing tool, and when we're not worried about where the money's coming from, and when we're working on ourselves at a body, mind, and soul level, when we're really being honest with where we're at, how we're really feeling about money, and really consciously being aware of, oh my God, this is coming up right now. Okay, I can see that this is linked into my upbringing. Wow. This is where we get to do the change work. So some other tips and some other tools is really practicing gratitude about the money that you have, even if it's $5 in your wallet. I'm sure that you've all heard of this before, and it's been taught to us through The Secret. But the problem with all of these teachings is many people are not actually practicing them. You've got to actually practice them before they work. So you've got to actually be really feeling the feelings of spending time every single day in a really good place with money, really feeling grateful for the money that you do have, and really honoring that, some change that you have in a jar, the little bit of money that you do have in your wallet, the money that you do have in your bank account, really feeling so much gratitude for what you have. And really, that is going to really help you heal your relationship with money. Feeling grateful for the bills that you get to pay. We've all been programmed and conditioned to feel, incredible amounts of negative emotions around bills. And that's in our conditioning. And, I know for me, that bill, we even knew before it was coming when we were children, because, it was talked about. Bill, oh my God. The electricity would suddenly, everyone would be in high alert. Shit, turn that fan off. Don't leave that running all the time. Why is that TV still going? Oh my God, the electricity bill is going to be sky high. There was a nervous tensionness in the nervous system, and then the bill would be on the fridge, and everyone's name would be mud, and we'd all be like creeping around, and, we'd be going through hot summer nights without air conditioning, And so, there's so much negative energy around, paying bills. Let's flip that. Paying our bills with love and gratitude is a great way to heal our relationship with money, and you've got to actually practice it. You've got to actually embody it. When you pay that electricity bill, feel the gratitude, realize, oh my God, like life would be really shit house without electricity. And I'm actually paying for a service that is fucking amazing. Like, this service is so good, right? Without electricity, we'd, be walking around with kerosene lamps at night. We'd be bloody hot if we lived in the tropics. We'd be freezing cold in the winter. We really want to get really embodying, like, I'm so grateful. I'm paying this bill and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for my phone. You know, I'm so grateful for this Telstra bill. It gives me my phone, for goodness sake. What an amazing service it is. Holy heck, why would we whinge and complain and even feel negative energy around the things that provide such amazing services for us? The water, running water, just the fact that we don't live in a Western world where we have to go and, walk 10 kilometers to go to a well and then carry the water on our heads, 10 kilometers home. We really have to come back to really doing the opposite of what we've been taught to do. And we've got to practice it. It's going to be difficult because if we've got, and we all have, neurological pathways to feeling negative about money, those neurological pathways, they're well worn. We don't have to think about going into them. They're integrated. There's no bramble bushes. There's no logs down in those neurological pathways. We go there and we're there. It's just on autopilot. So we have to start reprogramming ourselves. And it's hard, right? It's like going to the gym. You've got to do the work. You've got to lift those weights. You've got to sweat. You won't always feel like it. Sometimes you'll be kidding yourself and you'll be like, I'm grateful for money. I do feel grateful about my bills. But all the while you're paying for those bills and you're like, oh. You've really got to get into the work, and I'm over exaggerating here because I really want you all to win, but you're not going to win if you're not doing anything. You're not going to win if you're kidding yourself and you're telling yourself stories about an illusion about how things really are. You've really got to dedicate the time. This has got to be your life's work. You've got to be committed to doing this, not just for an hour or a week or sometimes, and then, no, I'm fully in. I'm really doing this in a personal development work. You've got to be all in. It's got to be an absolute commitment where you are living it, where you are breathing it, where you are embodying it, where you are getting real with yourself and you're getting out of denial and you stop kidding yourselves about where you think you're at. Because if you think you're at somewhere, Tony Robbins, I love when he says this, you don't know if you're not living it. You may think that you know, but if you're not actually living it, you do not know. If you knew, you'd be living it, you'd be breathing it. And this is why I say empty your cups, and for myself, holy shit, I've got so much work to do on myself. I mean, so much work needs to be done. There is so many things that need cleaning up. It'll be a life's work. And I come at myself and my life like that. I see so many women coming with, I know all of this stuff, and it's heartbreaking because if you already think that you know it, but you're not getting the result, you're going to stay stuck where you are forever. I'm literally every day, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so grateful I've come this far and I'm achieving amazing things, but shit, I've got a long friggin' way to go. I'm only just getting started. I'm only just operating at 2% of my potentiality. And I've got so many things to work through. And I come at my coaching sessions and I come at my life like that, right? Because guess what? That's how I learn so much. That's how I'm continually breaking through. That's how I'm continually giving myself a kick up the ass and going, come on, we got a lot of work to do. We got to work through this. I love you. I support you, but you got a long way to go, right? We got to giddy up here. We got to get going. We got to get more disciplined, and there's, times and iterations, for that. I'm just going to check back in. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for all of your beautiful comments in the Facebook group. And I'm so sorry that I haven't been able to keep up with the comments. I just really like to deliver the messages as they're coming in. So, today really has been quite a bit of, ask kickery, and it was always going to be, because today is all about you really getting real, with where you're at with money, and also the tools for you to start to work towards healing your relationship with money. We all know that our original soul's codings are codes of wealth, prosperity, and abundance. And it's just working through the conditioning and working on healing our relationship with money and creating compelling futures. what we talked about yesterday. Money wants to go where it's exciting. Money doesn't want to go towards debt and bad feeling emotions about, oh my God, I need to pay this off. It feels really bad. I want the money for all these bad feeling things. If you're calling in money for bad feeling things, money is going to elude you. You're going to stay stuck where you are forever. Money wants to go where it's exciting. Money wants to go where it's expansive. Money wants to get taken on a magical journey. And so you've got to take yourself on a magical journey. You've got to get excited about your life. You've really got to get outside of your comfort zone and start to create goals and dreams that are so compelling for you that you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my God, I am excited about my life. I'm shitting myself. It is so frigging scary, but to work towards that, it is so frigging worth it. Because we never want to get to our deathbeds and be full of regret. There's this whole book, and I'm going to recommend some books to you all before we finish up today, but there's this whole book. It's called The 5 Regrets of the Dying by Bronnie Ware. I think it's a Hay House published book, and it's all about Bronnie, who is looking after the dying, and they're all on their deathbed, and they're so regretful. Most people get to their deathbed and they're full of regret. They are absolutely full of regret that they didn't go all in, that they tiptoed to the grave, that they played it safe. You know, and this book is so good that I've cried through this book, and it reminds me when I feel afraid, when I'm really going into uncomfortable places, which is every day, every week, I refer to this book. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to get to my deathbed and think, shit, I held back there. I didn't go all in. There is no way that I'm going to get to my deathbed with any regret. Zero. I'm going to get to my deathbed and go, holy shit, I risked everything. I went with what was absolutely aligned for me, and I went absolutely all in, and I let no rock be unturned, and I absolutely brought it. I stomped, and I was loud, and I was proud, and I was courageous, and I was fearless, and I looked fear in the face, and I committed to my goals and dreams, and I said that everything that I was going to do, every single thing that I said that I was going to do, I did it. And I did it when I was scared, and I kept moving forward, and I was committed. I was committed to my truth. And that's how I'm going to get to my final day of being here on earth. And I check in with myself at times. I check in with myself. And I know just in September last year, when I wasn't working with anyone because I just came out of a multiple 7-figure business pod, and I was like, oh my God, I just need a break. I know that in those 3 months, I was plateauing. I know that in those 3 months, I was checking in with myself, and I was having little conversations. Oh, if you were on your deathbed right now, you know, would you have regret? And it was a yes. It was like, yeah, I'm plateauing right now. I'm in a comfort zone. I'm in a safety zone. Rightio, time to move this ship, time to get out. So the book recommendations are, I've been reading these books over the last 15 years. This is a book that I read, and I haven't even read the whole thing, but it's a book that I study. I study my books. I read them and then I study them. And I literally spend a long time through each chapter. And even sometimes it takes me ages just to get through a couple of pages because there's so much to these books. So one of my absolute favorites is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I followed a formula inside this book. It's a 6-step formula, and I followed it to the T, and that formula helped me manifest $100,000 in sales in less than 3 months. The formula's in there. There's different versions of this book. I'm not turning to the page, but the 6-step formula is inside this book, and it's the formula that I use continuously and that I used 2 years ago. So that is an amazing book. That is one that I study continuously. I refer to it often. This is another amazing book, Money and the Law of Attraction by Esther and Jerry Hicks and the Teachings of Abraham. Absolutely incredible. And all of their books are amazing. The Vortex is also absolutely fantastic. Busting Loose from the Money Game, another amazing one, very different. It's not about money, but it is, but it's not, but it is. It's by Robert Schneinfeld. Schneinfeld. I'll take a photo and post these books inside our group at some stage. And this little baby, it's the Abundance book. It's by John Randolph Price. And I've been reading some of quotes out of this book, and also the 40-day prosperity plan is inside this book. We ordered this book online probably about 15 years ago, so I'm not sure if it's purchasable at a shop. You may be able to order it over Amazon. This is my most favorite book on planet Earth. It is Bringers of the Dawn by Barbara McCormick. And it is all about the Palladians. This is a book that will tell you things that you already know. This book will really wake up those codes, your soul's codes. It's such a powerful book. And I read this book in 2017. It's one of those books where I was like, oh, I've got something very special here. So I didn't want to read it too quickly. So, those books that you get and you really go slow with them because you just savor like every moment of it. It was one of those. And then I slept with it on my bedside table for years because I wanted it to be close to me. Then when my Facebook account got shut down in September, I literally had one of these masterclass series happening. I think it was 2 or 3 days after my Facebook account got shut down. I can't remember how many women we had. I think we had 190 women register. And, I went into, a meltdown basically internally. It really brought up a whole lot of stuff for me. And the guidance was, Spirit said, Jess, you've got to read Bringers of the Dawn again. It's, it's a must. So I started reading Bringers of the Dawn again, and it activated so many things inside of me, and it really helped shift me out of that trauma and that fear that I went into, and got me back on track again, So yeah, it's my absolute favorite book in the whole wide world. It's activating. It will give to you. It won't be a book that will overload you with a whole lot of information. It will be very activating. It will activate information inside of you that you already know. It's your heritage, right? So alrighty, it is a wrap. Now, just quickly before we finish up, you have all got an inner work task, and your inner work task is to go away and create your old money map. So this is an inner work task that is not bells and fairy floss and cotton candy. This is quite a difficult inner work task, might be quite confronting for many of you. And it's to really go away and create your money map, what it's been, your old money map, right? Because we're now shifting away from the old money map. And so I'd love for you to write down all of the old limiting beliefs that you've had around money. Money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work really hard for money. I really would love for you to really sit there and purge out what's there in the conscious, what's there in the subconscious, and really, how is your maps? How is your old money map? How has it served you up until this point? Well, it's kept you all safe up until this point, but we really need to acknowledge, what that money map has been, the stories that are linked to it. Write down all the sayings, all limiting beliefs. And what the conditioning has been, what it's been, what you've taken from your mother's, a relationship with money, how you really felt about money most of the time, how that's been activated in your nervous system, whatever it is that you want to share. It's just like a big purge. It's your old money map. It's your old money story. And so you just want to write all of this down, or feel very welcome to come into our page and you can do a live video and share with us what it's been, what's the programming been. And it's going to be very powerful because it's really going to get you all to actually looking at all of that stuff that's there so that you can actually heal it, right? We can't heal anything that we're not getting consciously aware of and that we're just bypassing, that we're just putting the pretty blanket over and we're just saying, It's okay. It's all good. I'm just going to ignore that and hope that it goes away. So I look forward to, I'm so sorry that I haven't been able to read all these comments. Oh my goodness, there is so many of them. I'm looking forward to reading all of your inner work tasks, your old money map, and just a big purge. It's really just sitting with it, sitting with the negativity, sitting with the old stories, sitting with the conditioning, really admitting where your relationship really has been with money. And then tomorrow, we're really going to start stepping into the new. We're going to start doing the reprogramming, the recoding. I'm also going to teach you some money strategy tomorrow. I'm going to be teaching you my $100,000 per month standard operational procedure, organic lead gen strategy. We've also got another strategy that I implemented a year and a half ago where I received $22,000 in sales in one evening. So tomorrow is still the energetics, but we're really going to go into some strategy as well because we want you to get the results and we want to teach you all how to actually do that, right? So thank you all so much for being here. Dina, need to get new copies. Oh my goodness, she had that 20 years ago. Amazing, Michelle. I love Get Rich, Lucky Bitch. Amazing. I love Abraham. Me too, Lisa. Love Abraham. Amazing. Thank you so much for all your comments. Thank you everyone that has joined us live today. See you all tomorrow, 8 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time for our final day. Don't forget, if you haven't booked a call and you don't know where to find the link, please sing out. The winner of our package will be announced next Friday, and we still have two $15,000 part scholarships up for grabs. So if you'd love to have a conversation about all of that, please just book in a call with me. I'm super excited to chat to so many of you today. Mwah. Sending you so much love. It's a wrap. I need to go and have a big drink, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye, ladies. Bye.